Okay, so picture this. You're at the stadium, the crowd is just electric, your team is pulling off a huge win. I mean, it's an absolutely incredible experience, right? But what happens after that final whistle blows? Because while you're heading home, for the stadium and its sponsors, a completely different game is really just getting started.
So you go to the game, you cheer your heart out, and you go home. You probably think your value as a fan, kind of ends the second you walk out that gate. But what if I told you that just by being in that stadium seat, you've been turned into a valuable long-term asset? That's the big question we're going to unpack right now. How in the world does that actually happen? Okay, so to really get a handle on this new model, we first have to look at the old problem. And for decades, stadiums faced this huge untapped opportunity that they just couldn't solve. And that was the problem of the vanishing audience. I mean, just think about it for a second. A stadium can hold 50,000 people. 50,000 passionate, totally engaged fans. That's a massive, super high-value audience, all packed into one place. And for a few hours, man, they are a marketer's absolute dream. But then, the game ends. And this really gets to the core of the old problem. Historically, that whole commercial relationship was tied to the physical building and, how long the event lasted. The second you left, that direct line of communication was just cut. All that potential value? Poof, it just evaporated into the night. So how did they make their money back then? Well, the old game day model was actually pretty straightforward, and it's probably something you're already familiar with.
Yeah, it was all about the event itself, right? Money came from selling tickets, from those big corporate sponsorships you see on all the banners, the ads on the Jumbotron, and of course, from the wildly overpriced hot dogs and beer. The whole thing was an entirely event-based business model.
But now there's been this massive shift in thinking that has completely changed the game. It's this conceptual revolution where the fan, your attention, goes from being the consumer to being the product itself. So here's the fundamental difference. The old model sold the event to an audience. Simple enough. But this new model, it captures the audience from the event and turns it into a persistent, monetizable asset that lives on long after you've gone home. Just let that sink in for a second. The entire purpose of the live event, at least from a business perspective, totally shifts. It's not just about the game anymore. It's about assembling this highly specific, high-intent group of people who can then be, packaged and understood. So the big question is, how is any of this even possible? And the answer, as it so often is these days, is sitting right there in your pocket. Yep, it all comes down to your smartphone. It really all boils down to a pretty simple two-step process. First up, audience capture. During the event, they create a digital perimeter. Think of it like a virtual fence or a geofence around the entire stadium. This fence identifies all the mobile devices inside it. And then, step 2 is audience intelligence. They start gathering data, tracking where those devices go in the days and even weeks after the event is over. Now, the key that unlocks this whole thing is something called a MAID. That stands for Mobile Advertising ID. And honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like a unique anonymous license plate for your phone. It's not tied to your name, it's not your phone number, but it is what allows your specific device to be identified as it moves around, both in the digital world and the physical world, specifically for advertising purposes. Okay, so they've captured this big audience of digital license plates. Now what? Well, this is where the real money-making begins. This is where they start creating ads that can quite literally follow you home.
I mean, think about it from the sponsor's point of view. Their ultimate goal isn't just to be seen for 3 hours during a game. It's to build a real, ongoing relationship with you. So how do they use this newfound audience asset to keep that game day buzz going?
Well, the first and probably most obvious way is through what's called digital retargeting. So if you were at the game, you're now part of a verified fan audience. And what that means is the team's sponsors can specifically target your device with ads that show up in your social media feeds, inside mobile apps, and on the websites you visit. But, digital ads are really just the beginning. The real innovation here, and this is where it gets kind of wild, it's not happening on your screen. No, it's happening out there on the street.
And honestly, this is the real game changer. For 100 years, a billboard's value was based entirely on its location. How many cars drive past it every day. But now, its value is based on who drives past it. It's a fundamental shift from targeting a place to targeting actual people.
So here's how it works.
By analyzing the movement of all those digital license plates that were at the stadium, advertisers can start to identify patterns, like where fans tend to live, where they work, what their daily commute looks like, and then they buy billboard space along those specific routes, which ensures their message is seen not just by a random crowd, but by a verified audience of actual fans.
So, when you put all of these different pieces together, it really forces us to completely rethink what a stadium even is anymore. It is so much more than just a building for sports and concerts. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful truth. The physical building, it's not the main event anymore. It's just the mechanism they use to gather the audience. The real business is everything that happens after that.
Ultimately, what's happening is the stadium is transforming into a continuous media platform. It's become an engine for building and curating this incredibly valuable audience that can be engaged with 24/7, 365 days a year. And that creates a commercial asset that just keeps on growing.
And you can see why everyone's on board. This model really creates a win-win-win situation. For the venues, they open up this powerful new continuous stream of revenue. For the sponsors, they get to extend their campaigns way beyond just game day, which means a much better return on their investment. And for the advertisers, well, they get to move from just blasting a message to everyone to precision targeting of verified fans.
So look, it's an incredibly powerful and efficient business model, all built around modern technology, no question about it. But it does leave us with one final, kind of provocative thought. The next time you're in a roaring crowd, feeling that passion of the game, it's probably worth asking yourself, when your very presence is the product that's being sold, who are you really cheering for?